Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Follow Everton. Um, Another abysmal performance by the Blues, and I have to turn around and say this solely lands on the manager's toes, because that team performance and the select 11 is and was not good enough to win that game, and to change a performance like we did through the midweek and put Garner back on the right, for me, was a massive, massive mistake. The players didn't perform, but he never had the backbone to go out and attack Luton at home. Playing Onana and Garner in defensive midfielders is like, at home, why are you doing that? Like, surely you should be going at a team that's second bottom of the league, or was second bottom of the league, and playing your most attacking formation. I was baffled. Me and Robbie, before the game started on the pre-match, were shaking our heads at the lineup. Garner on the right is absolutely wasted, and Garner in midfield, as we all seen on Wednesday night, was a breath of fresh air. But yeah, he insisted on playing them outright. Now, I'm winging it a bit, guys, because I'm on my bill. So I'd like some of your comments so I can put them up and discuss them with you. The defense was poor today. Like, there we go. Where's Ryan? Hello, mate.
Hi, Wes. Oh my God.
No, he's gone again. But the defending was terrible. Like, how are you getting beat from set pieces with a team our size is ridiculous. You're back again, mate.
Yeah, sorry. I got work soon. Mate, that was absolutely tragic. I don't know what you thought about it on TV, because I think some of the emotional aspect of the game gets taken away when you do watch from home. It isn't quite the same. But 4 defeats at home, 4 straight losses. And this is a bad run at home that's extended back months. You know, we lost plenty last season at home as well. My patience, I'll be honest, is running out, Wes. You know, because it's all well and good going to Brentford and winning, but when you've got 40,000 Blues turning up week in, week out, and that is the type of football that you're dishing out, it's embarrassing. It's disgraceful. I mean, if I'm allowed, Dave, I've got a few minutes. I want to pass some very interesting tactical points out, if that's okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Tottenham have just gone 1-0 up, by the way. I just wanted to say,
I'm not sure we should give a fuck, really, given the precedents that this club's in at the moment, where, let's be honest, relegations is a distinct possibility. When you're losing to Luton Town at Goodison, relegation is a possibility.
It's absolutely shocking. And like I said before you came on, I personally laid that defeat at the manager's door, because the team that he put out in the first place, like, why are you playing Onana and Gay against Luton? What's the need for that?
I think he showed them a lot of respect with the team selection, in terms of a lot
too
of
much.
Say again.
Too much. At the end of the day, you cannot go out and respect a team like Luton, who have 1 point from the opening 6-7 games, and play a defensive formation. It's just, it baffles me, right?
We showed them a lot of respect with the team selection. Can you hear me clearly, by the way?
Yeah.
we showed a lot of respect to them with the team selection. And I wasn't quite sure why James Garner was on the right side of midfield. And I had the same questions as you. I wasn't necessarily begging for a 4-4-2, but I didn't quite understand why we didn't have maybe Dan Juma playing left side of midfield and Garner in midfield rather than Idrissa Gana Gueye. I think that we showed them a lot of respect in terms of what they could provide on in terms of with the ball at their feet. I think we didn't show them enough respect with the set pieces. And I just want to make a few points here. We've turned up. We've had a few chances early on where McNeil's tucked inside, James Garner's tucked inside, and we created opportunities. But we're asking players who are not natural finishers like Garner, like Onana to score goals. The Luton were playing a lot of passes in behind Mikalenko and behind Young, who were atrocious. Both
really
defensively
bad.
and defensively, very, very limited. And we didn't take our chances, and then you get a couple of set pieces, and I don't think our chances were that good. They weren't particularly clear cut, but we were wasteful with the ones we did get in that first half, and it was within the first 10 minutes, might I add. But after that, Luton get the corner, a succession of corners. The one they scored from Ashley Young heads it out for a corner, very, very soft. It's just a long ball over his head. He heads it for a cheap corner. And then, Dave, they play that routine, that corner from that left-hand side. The same fucking corner into that sort of near posty sort of that left-hand side quadrant. They had one 5 minutes before that, which they headed narrowly over the bar. They tested us with that. We didn't wake up to it. They did the same thing. It goes out for another corner. And then the second time round, they go and score from it. And I think it was like a woeful clearance off the line and they scramble it in. But it's
Michalenko, sorry, right. Michalenko had no idea that player was behind him because he was so focused on the player that was by him that he never actually covered his own position.
We're still talking
the
about
second goal.
No, I'm talking about the corner.
Oh, the second goal I'm talking about.
No, I'm on the corner here. I'm on the corner, the first goal at the moment. A succession of corners. They had a succession of corners, and every single time they hit it into that front left-hand side, they headed one over, and just before the goal, they did the same thing, and they did that routine, and then we ended up conceding from it, and we tried to clear it off the line. But, David, it was pathetic because you can see it coming. You can see it coming. Where is the leader? Who is the guy saying, block him? He's got his head on the other three corners. Block him. Stop him running in front of me.
On the commentary that on the channel that I was watching, Ozzy was on there, Leon Osman.
Yeah.
And he said Everton are struggling to defend the outswinging corners. Like they don't seem to be able to set up right to defend outswinging corners. And the next minute they score. It was slightly unfortunate because it come off Pickford straight to Ashley Young, who's tried to clear it, hasn't got his feet sorted out in time, and he's blasted straight to the lad who scored. I can't even remember his name, but he went off injured, didn't he? The captain.
Dave, it was pure panic stations, and the minute that goal goes in, you know what's coming. You know it's going to be one of those days. You've got another set piece coming up straight after that. Again, I don't think it was a foul. I thought it was cheap. The referee was appalling. I mean, I don't want to go into individual players, but I thought very, very off par for Everton today. And that set piece, Dave, I said to my mate Warren, who was sitting next to it in the park end, you see the way we're set up. Ashley Young, Mikalenko's the left back. He's at the far post. Luton have got two players behind him, and I said, he's going to score it. He's just going to stick it behind Mikalenko. He doesn't know whether he's going with him or him. And what would you believe? It's in behind Mikalenko, and the lad goes and scores. It was absolutely telegraphed. Pathetic. Yeah. The two goals are set pieces. Where are the leaders? Where are the people organising that back line and making sure that that's not allowed to happen? It was disgusting. And then it's huff and it's puff. and it's sideways. What Luton did was they pinned onto us. So they pressed us really high up, stopped us playing through midfield, stopped us playing out.
Which is what we should have been doing. Which is what we've done the last 2 games. And yet, for some reason or other, why did he play the, like, to me, like, if you're at home, right, you've got to play a different way, a different formation when you're at home, right? So when you are away, because you're more defensively minded being away from home, right? At home, you should have the crowd behind you, and you should be able to go for it more. But Dyche doesn't have the backbone and the bollocks to turn around and drop Garner Gay, put James Garner in the centre and mid, and have some creativity in there.
Dave, can I just say, I don't want to fall out with you, but he did it. Absolutely. At halftime, he did do that.
Yeah, but by then the game was gone. All our momentum from the goal we got in the first half.
Yeah.
Once half time come, our momentum went. That was it. Our game was finished.
All I can say though is when he did make that change at halftime, I just want to come back to take a step back actually. But we got the goal. We scrambled it in Calvert-Lewin. The VAR thing was farcical. Took 10 minutes or something ludicrous. We huffed and puffed. We didn't create anything after that. You know, we scored the goal, but we did very little creatively in that first half. Luton pinned onto us and stopped us playing through midfield and made us pass side to side. But I agree with you. The team selection was strange. But at half time, right, this is what you think. We've pulled one back. You know, he's going to make changes. He's going to improve this. I would have brought on Dan Juma onto the left and run at them because we played with no width. And ultimately what you saw in the first half were players where Calvert-Lewin's isolated with 4 players with a back 5 and we've got no width. You know, you're looking for a wide player and the width is coming from fullbacks who can't cross the ball. Mikalenko with his chipped, lofted, hoofed sand wedge golf club crosses and Young with his crap, awful distribution at right back. The pair of them, I thought we've got to get some natural width, you know, a natural winger, and he does. He brings on Danjuma. He brings on Harrison, and Harrison might have well played for Luton. All he did was give fouls away. I thought he was poor, but the problem I had was Luton then pinned onto us. They pressed us so high up. They stopped us playing through midfield. Whenever we got the ball wide to say Harrison, he had the opposition fullback up against him. He had the opposition winger up against him. He had the midfielder coming across and the centre-back in the back 5 coming up. So he would be in a 1v2 or a 1v3 situation. And then when fucking Young could be bothered to make an overlap or one of the midfielders would come across, it would at most be 2v2. And they didn't have the creativity, the ingenuity, the control, the tenacity, the technique to actually cause Luton any problems. And actually, I think creatively, it was so bad. And Luton was so good at disrupting.
They got into what's naming. They got into the point where they got desperate, right? They were rushing the passes and making silly mistakes, and it was panic stations because we shouldn't be. You know, they don't need telling that we shouldn't be losing at home to Luton. Like, fair play to Luton, right? They're in the Premier League, but I still think they'll probably go down with the worst points tally in the league. I think even worse than what Derby was. Yeah, they got 3 points today, and they rightly deserved the 3 points because we were that bad. And me and Robbie spoke before the game on the pre-match, saying their chances of a goal would be likely from set pieces, which transpired was right. But we also said they'd have 11 men behind the ball, and they just frustrate us. And then, the second half of the game, that's pretty much what they did. They just sat behind the ball. They didn't need to chase the game, and we couldn't break them down.
I'd say it was very much a game of 2 halves. That first half, the first 15, 20 minutes, we were all over them. I wasn't impressed with the lack of width. I felt like we were getting a lot of. We controlled the ball well, but we were always a little bit short in terms of numbers in the box or numbers, to really cause Luton dangerous problems. And once they got those goals, Luton are going to sit back. 2 set pieces we should do miles better with. Disgraceful. You've scrambled a goal back, and you think that Everton can come out in that second half and change it, but it was just that second half was abysmal, Dave.
Flat.
It was
flat.
so bad. All it was Luton pinning on us, side to side. We can't play into midfield because they're getting pressed so well by Luton. We can't go long because there's 5 of them and they're mopping up everything. We can't get it wide because they seem to over. Decore, for example, he's meant to be the spare man in midfield to stop Luton getting out wide, coming across and being an extra man. He's meant to be the man when we got the ball to go across and help overload on the sides. He was basically playing as a striker. So what does he do? He brings Bato on. Bato was not good. And Calvert-Lewin and there was no chemistry there. The service was bad. Bato headed one over. We should have just nodded it in. We had chance after chance in that first half. I think there was one James Garner should have headed in as well. I sit here and I'm very, very frustrated, mate. I'm exasperated with them to send 40,000 fans to Goodison to watch that.
But it is typical. It's typical Everton, isn't it? It's like all the confidence should have been with us at home, with the crowd behind us. Just won 2 away games on the bounce in a week, and all the momentum and the confidence was with us. Yeah, they were the ones that looked like they'd won two away games, and we were struggling to cope with them at times because they were very direct.
Yeah, the Luton number 9 gave Jared Branthwaite a terrible time. I'm going to name some individuals here. Branthwaite wasn't good. Tarkowski wasn't great either. I thought Branthwaite was bullied. It's a learning curve for him. The midfield, Garner, woeful. I'm talking about Adrissa Garner Gay, but I thought James Garner was very quiet and very pedestrian. I think some of them were just so pedestrian. And then the changes, the substitutions he made to try and make a difference. Harrison, ineffective. Beto, ineffective. Patterson came on, tried to make things happen, but it was at a time in the game where you need a little bit more creativity and flair, and you're just looking at Harrison and Patterson, and it's 2v2 constantly up against Luton 2v2, and they didn't have enough about them to cause Luton problems. I'm very, very worried when we have to play a team and we have to take the initiative that we don't have anything about us. This isn't knee-jerk reaction, I'm blaming 75% on this game on Dyche and the way he set it up and the substitutions and the tactics and hoofing it long to hopeless and aimlessly.
The thing is, though, right?
Sideways.
The thing is, right, is why, like, after Patterson's performance against Villa, why did he drop him and play Ashley Young? Why?
I don't understand either.
Has Ashley Young got some nudes of him or something? Because he is living a charmed life. It's week in, week out. He's just simply not good enough. He's finished. 38 years of age. He should not be playing as a right back in the Premier League. You need to be hanging up your boots, putting your feet up, and watching it on the telly. Not playing. I don't get it. And yeah. If we haven't got him, we've got a lack of a right back because Seamus is injured. But Seamus can't come back quick enough.
I don't think Coleman's going to get to a level. You still there?
Yeah.
I don't think Coleman's going to get to the level you're expecting him to. I think Patterson did well enough against Villa to keep his spot. I assume it was only because he didn't want to play 3 games in a week. This is professional footballers. He's misusing Danjuma, who's extremely talented winger, with bags of quality. Yes, he doesn't quite do the defensive thing, and that's why he's not playing. But when you need cutting edge, you need creativity and someone to go past someone and cause problems. I felt watching that game at Goodison that Luton looked more dangerous than us when they got it. I felt more scared of what Luton were going to do than I was convinced of what Everton were going to do to break them down. And I appreciate today some people will. I imagine most of you watched it on TV, and it might be a completely different perspective to what I saw at Goodison. But the way I felt was it was hopeless. It was
Yeah.
hopeless. We never looked like scoring a goal. We never looked like having anything different. We couldn't cope with the press. Luton pressed us. They pinned us. We were too slow and laboured. We want 50 touches every time we get the ball. Where was that creativity? Where was that precision passing and the one touch, two touch, the triangles, the movement, the creativity, the determination? Where was it? I thought the attitude of them stunk.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there didn't seem to be a plan there today. No plan whatsoever. It was just a case of it definitely seemed a case of, hang on, we're at home. We're playing a team that's only got 1 point. We've just won the two games back to back. So just go out and play. You know what I mean? That it definitely seemed like that. There was no structure to our play. You know what I
No,
mean?
I think there's some things here to take from it. The width came from the fullbacks, but when they got in positions to actually cross, they check back inside, and then it goes to Onana, who passes it square and back and sideways and square and back and sideways. They're going nowhere. And then it would go to maybe McNeil, and he's trying to make something happen, but he's got too many players around him. And yes, he might wiggle away, but he can't do everything. And when we got into good positions, we were wasteful. And then you got Calvert-Lewin, who's isolated. When you're crossing is Mikalenko, and it's like it's a sand wedge cross. So bad.
Shocking.
So shit.
The thing is,
so shit
with
crossing the ball.
with Mikalenko, right? He always hands off the ball for somebody else to cross it because he knows he's that bad. He always passes it to someone else to put the cross in, whether that be McNeil or somebody else or Onana. He always passes it to someone else because he knows his crossing is absolutely terrible.
What I didn't understand was when we were 2-1 down, chasing the game, and you can see that the sideways and the hoofed balls and the long crosses and all the stupid shit wasn't working, and they were a threat, was why we didn't try and play down the side, get Danjuma on, get down that left-hand side, play, some triangular passes and try and get in behind Luton and pull it back and put some good balls in from the byline from Danjuma. Why were we still trying to persist with the stupid long ball into Beto, trying to win a knockdown? We didn't have the midfielders to win the second. We didn't have enough of them. Get it wide, get it in. And Harrison was very predictable. I thought he was going to have a bit more variation. He was giving foul after foul away. We were playing into their fucking hands constantly, weren't we, Wes? They were faking injuries. They were going down. They were holding their head. They were taking an age every corner, every set piece, every single time. But we made it easy for them. We fell into the traps.
Right. Do you think there was a case there to play, three at the back, and the way we played against Villa, and play Garner in a five in the midfield, but do you think there was a case for that rather than because we looked pretty solid the other day against Villa with the three, and obviously reverting to the five at the back when we're out of possession, and I just thought, if you'd had Garner and Onana in that midfield, and Onana was brilliant the other night against Villa. You don't need to have Garner, Gay, and Onana as defensive midfielders when you're at home against somebody like Luton. If he does that against Bournemouth, he'll get the same. We'll get the same result. We need to be more attacking at home.
Well, we did. The problem, the thing is, we were crap when we changed and went 4-4-2. We were crap when we went more attacking and put James Garner in the middle. So it didn't actually work.
But we could have gone 3-5, 3-5-1.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I said to my mate next to me, I said, should we? I'd bring Michael Keane on here, and he laughed at me. I said we were a lot more secure with the five because we had the defensive structure there when we needed. But we also, if you look at the way we played against Villa, we always had a wing back and a winger and another mid. We always had options. We carried a threat. But we had nothing today. And I think if Luton sit back and your plan is to try and break them down, then why are you always crossing the ball from deeper areas and lofting it in to overhitting it or hitting it straight into the keeper or hitting the first man? Why aren't you trying to get down into the byline and in areas where you can actually pull it back? It's the
Yeah,
coaching. It's the coaching. The
yeah,
coaching's non-existent. They're either he's not doing his job or they're uncoachable. They're fucking unwatchable. And I feel sorry for anyone who went. And I went, and you can see I'm livid today. I wasn't so livid in other games. I wasn't as angry at Fulham and Wolves. I thought we were robbed. I didn't think we were robbed today. They said on TalkSport that Everton were, dominated the game thoroughly, and Luton were lucky. And then later, someone said that Luton were fantastic performance. I think Luton played fantastic. Defensively, they were fantastic. They made it very difficult for us. They carried a threat, and they made us look, and we were shit.
but it was always going to be the case.
2 games to save his job.
Well, it was always going to be the case that they were going to come here and defend for their lives, and he done it very well. And they suppressed any attacks that we had, and then their biggest threat was always going to be set pieces, which is what it transpired to be. The fact that like our defense the last 2 games has been pretty good. You have to admit it's been pretty good. But today, I don't know what happened to them. It was like they'd all had like a brain freeze like over the last couple of days, and it was like, oh, we forgot how to defend. It was really poor.
Open play defensively, we were all right. There were some scary moments, but generally we were okay. I think Branthwaite was bullied at times, and I think a lot of them were bullied and anonymous. Anonymous would be the word I'd use, but I think the set pieces are unforgivable.
Yeah.
Do you think goals are unforgivable?
Especially the size of our team, we have to be one of the biggest teams in the Premier League, stature-wise, and yet we couldn't defend the outswingers. We could not get to grips with them, and you're like, surely that as Premier League players earning thousands upon thousands of pounds a week, you have to practice defending set pieces, in swinging and out swinging corners, but yet they never got to grips with it. It's mind-boggling.
I'm starting to think the players are terrified of playing at Goodison. I wouldn't say it was a particularly flat or toxic atmosphere in the build-up. I think we would say we were mildly confident. I'd say that the players, they had a 15-minute spell, and then they fall into the same stupid traps. They showed complacency from the set pieces, or a lack of basic awareness over where they need to be and who they need to mark and where the threats are. And then if you're gifting these kinds of goals and you haven't got a plan, you haven't got pace, you haven't got skill, you haven't got flair, you haven't got cutting edge, you're giving yourself a massive task. I mean, someone in the comments before said Dyche is a defensive manager, but the teams can't fucking defend because we concede goals every week. Yeah. Every week, without fail, we concede. We haven't kept a clean sheet this season.
They'd only managed to score 3 goals all season and scored 2 against us. That tells you everything about our defending.
We're a laughing stock. If we don't beat Bournemouth and we get hammered at Liverpool, I will be in the queue saying get rid of him, because he's got the media personality of a stale, mouldy loaf of bread that's been in your cupboard for 2 weeks. Some of the stuff he comes out with repulsive, and he's about as down to earth as the moon.
Right, and he's going nowhere. He's going nowhere.
Well, I know that, but
unless 777 take over, because we can't afford to sack him. It's as simple as that. We ain't got no money to sack him.
The 777 could probably backhand pay him off on the sly.
You mean illegally?
I think it's these home defeats. I don't give two hoots if we go away to Brentford and win. If I've got to go, I don't go to Brentford and 40,000 fans turn up today and watch that, and are going to go to Bournemouth and probably watch the same shit. I'm not going to put up with it, and I don't think anyone should put up with it. And I think anyone who feels like that, okay, we won, let's move on, let's brush it under the carpet. This is Everton Football Club. I remember going to the match, you know, from around 2007 to 2015, expecting to win. Goodison was a fortress. We'd lose 1 or 2 games a season. We've lost 4 already. We've lost 4 fucking games already this season at home. We're only we're still in September, so don't come on here, anyone, and say that this is acceptable or we weren't that bad or anything. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
Right. There's a stat there. We had 23 shots, only 5 on target, and they had 2 shots on target and 2 goals. That speaks volumes, doesn't it? Like we've been saying, we've needed an attacker, but we've got attackers and we still can't stick it in the back of the net.
We've got a full fucking team. Did you see the play? We've got no injuries of note. We've got Andre Gomez, who wasn't even involved the last 2 seasons. He's a pie in the sky. You've got no injuries. You've got a fully fit squad, and you're telling me, not you personally, Wes, but there's no excuses. There's zero excuses. There's zero
BJ made there, hit the nail on the head. 23 shots, and the goalkeeper never had to make a save of any note.
Their goalkeeper is dross. They haven't got a good goalkeeper, and we didn't test him at all. We didn't give him anything to deal with.
Yeah, it was an abject performance all round. Like I really honestly do think that they got complacent today and thought we've only got to turn up to beat these, and it's come back and bit them on the arse because that performance wasn't good enough throughout the whole team. You know what I mean? Like you say, where was the leaders? Tarkowski is supposed to be the captain. Like, you know, we should be leading the whole team. Like Michalenko, we've said it time and time again. He's got away with it the last 2 games because he played okay. You know what I mean? But today he was absolutely abysmal.
Can I say,
actually young abysmal?
Why is Michalenko for that second goal not saying to someone, I've got 2 fucking players that I'm marking at the back post who were their centre arse, who were bigger than me, who are going to probably dominate me. Someone else come across who can actually head a ball. Why are we obsessed with covering the middle of the goal? When do you ever see a corner or a set piece taken and hit into the middle? It doesn't happen very often. They hit it into the back post and stuff like that. It was the fact that they've got no brain, no self-awareness to actually to deal with the problem. The fact that the corner that they scored from, they showed us the same fucking routine that they were going to do because they did it 3 times previously, and we didn't get man up to it. Say, right, I'm going to block him. I'm going to stand in this area where this is going to be, and anticipate that we're going to not win the header and clear it properly. Because the 2 goals are abysmal, and I do give a lot of credit to Luton for the way they pressed us and pinned onto us and the effort they showed and their determination. But oh my God, did we not make it difficult for them with
we made it easy,
with how we played, with how we showed no creativity. There was no willingness to play overloads down the wing. The crossing was abysmal. The 2 strikers were hopeless. The midfield, I thought Decore was jogging around the pitch, offering nothing defensively or going forward. Garner might as well not have been playing. The fans might as well have not turned up. I'm telling you now, there's 15 more home games this season. Should I bother going next week to Bournemouth? I think possibly there's no fucking point, and I've lost the plot, and I'm very, very angry with what I'm witnessing, Dave.
The thing is, right, is that, like you say about Michalenko, why isn't he saying to someone, I've got 2 players here? The reason that he didn't say that is because he had no idea that player was behind him. He was so focused on the player that he had, instead of dropping off and saying, someone get him that I'm stood by, and dropping off to the player that was behind him, because he had no idea he was there. He literally had no idea he was there. And that just goes to show you the standard of footballer that he is. You know,
but let's not just single him out. He was shit.
No, he's not.
See it from
no, they were all terrible. They were all terrible. The only one that kind of comes out with any credit was Pickford, because the only thing he had to do was pick it out the back of the net. And
Well, the only
the
thing
2 goals he
he's
could,
fucking doing is booting it long to no one.
but he had no chance with either of the goals.
Yeah. He didn't
You know
have
what I
anything
mean?
to do. He didn't make a save the whole game. He wasn't tested. I mean, he's a non-starter. If I was doing a ratings, I'd give him just a generic or an unrateable. Apart from a few punts that were a bit brain dead, he was fine. And you could argue, whereas you could say someone maybe on reflection, looking back at that, might come on and say, well, actually, our centre backs dealt with most of the open play thing like meat and drink, although their number 9, Morris, was very strong and a handful. We dominated the midfield and we had all the ball and controlled the game, and we just didn't have any cutting edge. You could say that. But I'm coming on here because I'm not looking at this as an isolated thing. I'm looking at this as 4 home defeats. I'm looking at this on the back of last season where we were losing every home game, more or less. And yeah, maybe I'm overreacting, Dave. I don't know what people think, but
No, you're not. You're not
I'm not happy.
overreacting. But you tell me, right? You
I have
tell
to go
me,
in a minute,
right?
by the way, for work.
Okay, I mean, you tell me what other manager plays that system at home against a team who have got 1 point in 6 games.
We don't need to play long ball, sort of second ball, mop it up, decore, sort of the false 9, whatever. We didn't need to do that today. We needed to get the ball to creative players who can make things happen, who can beat a Luton player and cause problems. You know, the style of football today was inappropriate for what we're trying to be as a club. It was crap. It was long ball. It was lofted crosses. It was always checking back, always passing sideways, always passing back. I want to see get to the byline, cross it, cause problems, get in behind them. You know, make things happen. And there was none of that today. That we needed a better style of football. Yes, maybe when we go to Anfield, that's what we'll have to do. Knock it long and hope for the best. But I'm telling you, this is Everton Football Club, and we deserve better as a fan base. And on that bombshell, I do have to go because I'm in work at 7 o'clock. Wes, I hope you'll be okay to stay on and do some comments. And if you want to open the floor up to people, just make it clear that it's a 5-10 minute window per person.
I'm going to have to get off myself in a minute because I've got to do something. So
yeah, don't blame you. Maybe just put a couple of important comments up and then wrap things up. But nice to chat. And sorry about the rant.
that's okay, mate. Everyone's entitled to a rant after that performance.
Right, guys. Thanks for
Well,
watching. I'll leave you with the capable Mr. Wes. Make sure you like and subscribe. See you in a bit.
see you soon, right? Right then, guys. So, as we can all see, Ryan is one of the many disappointed and irate Evertonians tonight. And I can't blame him because he's paid good money to go and watch that performance, and it's simply not good enough, and it's happening week in, week out. Yeah, we won 2 games away from home, but that's just papered over the cracks. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you guys think. Give us some comments so I can stick some up and see where we're going. Jack McFacky. Yeah, that was always going to be the case at the time to cut the 3, the 3 promoted teams adrift from us. But this has sucked us back into it, and it's like they're the teams that you need to be beating for you to have any chance of staying up. So, and that today was an absolute disaster. Yeah, Peter, the same as everybody else. The lineup was shocking, and me and Robbie said it before the game kicked off that to have Garner out on the right after him playing so well in a 3-5-3 3-5-2 formation was kind of baffling. So I don't know, that Dice he seems to be falling on his own sword at the moment. So 7 home losses and 8. It's really bad. It's really bad. I mean, this is it's just rolling over from last season. Like, why have we become so bad at home? It's it's baffling because Dyche won't have the bollocks to actually go for it. He keeps playing this formation where there's no creativity, and it's just all about, you know, stopping the other team from playing instead of us playing ourselves. Shocking. Yeah, he doesn't seem to have a clue, mate. And I'm not normally one to be jumping on the bandwagon and sack the manager and all this business, but that lineup today was really couldn't understand it after the performance. You cannot go with a lineup and tactics you play away from home because you, like I said, you go away and you're more defensively minded because you're playing away from home. But at home with the crowd behind you, you've got to be going for it. Like at some point, he needs to let the shackles off and let the players loose. But he won't. Yeah, 100% right, Kelly. But who's going to come to Everton? What good manager is going to come to Everton in the state that we're in at the minute? We've got no money. You know, until this takeover is completed, if it actually happens, we've got no money. We're a ship without a rudder, without a captain to steer us, and no manager in his right mind, no top manager in his right mind is going to come to Everton knowing they've got no money. The players that they've got are not good enough because you'll get one performance that's a Brentford or a Brighton, and then you'll get another 2 or 3 performances that are against the likes against Luton. It's that's how inconsistent we are. Jack McFarry thinks we get Rooney in. Do you think he's got enough experience at the moment to warrant getting the top managerial, job? Well, say top managerial or a job in the Premier League. I wouldn't say it, being an Everton manager is a top managerial position, but uh, no, I kind of agree with you based on that performance. But maybe we're going through a bit of a phase at the moment where obviously the last 2 seasons we couldn't win a game away from home. And now we're going through a little phase where maybe we can only win away from home because the pressure of the fans isn't on them and stuff like that. The away fans obviously are more vociferous and more vocal than the home fans are. The more passionate, really the away fans. So, and they get behind the team more, and the Goodison crowd, as we all know, can get a bit toxic and stuff like that. So maybe they're going through a phase at the moment where they're winning away games because the pressure on them at home is more intense. I don't know, but I think I'll be happy with 16 for the new year at the moment, and then obviously because we got a load of games over the Christmas period. If we come out of it relatively um, scot-free with injuries and stuff like that, we might be able to kick on after that. But 16, I'll settle for 16 as long as we're not in that bottom three after New Year. There we go. Uh, Apparently, Dice's furious because of the lack of our killer instinct. So nothing to do with the terrible defending and the the lack of intensity. Let's say that, like the intensity the last 2 games has been there, hasn't it? When we haven't got the ball, but it wasn't there today. I don't know. You know. So someone's shouting out for Ruud van Nostril boy. He's not in work at the moment, is he? He's done a good job with PSV. So yeah, but once again, he's never minded in the Premier League. But, you know, we all know the situation with regards to Dutch players. They so kind of struggle in the Premier League. But I don't know. I don't suppose he couldn't do a worse job than what bloody Dice is doing at the minute, could he? You know what I mean? So if you kind of read, you know, read the rumours, 777 are quite happy with Dice, but after that performance, I can't see why they would be. Because, like I said, you know, I'd say 95% of that result today, I'd lay solely at the manager's door because of him not having the backbone to actually go for it. And I'm not into this, you know, respecting the opposition and all like that. It was Luton Town. They were there to be for the taking. And instead of us walking away having been beat 2-1, we should have been walking away with winning that 3 or 4-0. But lack of tactics again. Lack of tactics. Ryan Lowe, yeah, he's doing a decent job. But you're talking about managers that are they're not proven in the Premier League, and you're not going to get many managers out there. Don't get me wrong, that are proven in the Premier League. And Peter keeps going on about Graham Potter, but to me, I've said it time and time again, Graham Potter needs control fully of a club. It's why he struggled at Chelsea, and if he comes to Everton, he will have input on if any players come in at all. But ultimately, it's down to Kevin Thelwell as the director of football between him and Graham Potter, whereas Graham Potter wanted the total say on everybody was ins and outs of Brighton. But right, guys, I'm going to have to leave it there because I've got stuff to do. But it was we had a terrible result. Let's hope that next week we can get Dice will learn his lesson and he'll change that formation. Stop playing 2 defensive midfielders at home. Let's go at teams. Yeah, you can play defensive midfielders against the better teams, 2 defensive midfielders against the better teams, but ultimately, when you're playing teams that are either below you or around about you, you should be having a go at them, especially at home. But anyway, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.